Hello everyone, today we are going to learn about how to manage depressive disorders. And there are two ways that we can manage it with pharmacotherapy and psychotherapy. And today we are going to learn about pharmacotherapy primarily, and subsequently we'll learn about the psychotherapeutic options also. So before starting pharmacotherapy, of course, by now we have assumed, I'm assuming that you have seen a patient of depression, you have evaluated a patient of depression, not just evaluated, but also seen what are the comorbid conditions, what is the impact on life, if there is a risk to himself or not, and different other things that you have already evaluated. And once you have made a mind, okay, this is a depressive disorder, now we should start with certain pharmacotherapy. But before we start with the pharmacotherapy, just writing mirtazapine 7.5 mg is not enough. We have to give certain written information. This is as per the latest NICE guidelines that were published in 2022. The APA guidelines was there 10-20 years back, and this is the latest guidelines, the UK guidelines that we can follow. So I've made this presentation from this NICE guidelines and taking the components from Maudsley also. So they say that what written information should be provided so that patient can just think about and contemplate if they want to continue or start with the medication, or they want to take the route of psychotherapy or some other route they want to take. So we have to tell them the reasons for offering medication. Okay, the reasons are pretty simple. Okay, because you have a depression, and once we start with the medication, we are hoping that the depression would improve. These are the antidepressants are very effective medications. So we have effective treatment, evidence-based effective treatment that does not cause any dependence. The effect does not reduce over the period of time. No reduction in effect over period of time. No long-term adverse effect. So these are primarily the reasons that we are choosing with medicines. Of course, there can be certain side effects with certain psychotherapies also. For example, in certain psychotherapies, we touch the past traumatic events, and sometimes the patients are not comfortable with doing those things, so they don't prefer certain psychotherapies. Or sometimes the patient can also say that I'm too tired to engage in any psychotherapeutic activities. For example, there is a psychotherapy called behavioral activation. So they are given certain tasks, but they say I am so tired, it's so lethargic that I cannot do anything. So that's why sometimes they prefer medication. We can give the choice of medication also. Okay, for your particular case, mirtazapine, what we can do is we can give you mirtazapine, we can give you citalopram, or we can give you vortioxetine. And rest of the medicine, we are suspecting that they will have more side effects on you. When we have given them the choice, mirtazapine, vortioxetine, or citalopram, then we have to tell them, okay, we are going to start with this particular dose, and over the period of time, the dose will be increased. The benefits that we are hoping is that it will work on your biological symptoms, sleep, appetite. They will work on your core symptoms, sadness, anhedonia, letharginess. They will work on your cognitive symptoms like concentration, pessimistic thoughts. The possible harms that may come with this is like nausea, vomiting can happen. Maybe some sodium may decrease, maybe prolactin may increase, maybe some sexual side effects can be there. How the medication will be stopped? It will be stopped if you have already taken for more than 6 months. It will be stopped very slowly. You cannot just suddenly stop it. There is a possibility that there can be certain withdrawal symptoms, though it does not cause any dependence in the dependence definition per se. Dependence definition means tolerance, withdrawal, craving, preoccupation, continued usage despite harm. So dependence is not happening, but withdrawals are there. That's why we have to stop it over a period of time, over the period of months, weeks, months, or at times years also. So, but there are no withdrawal symptoms. So there was a terminology that was used was withdrawal symptoms. But now the terminology, they say that you should change the terminology and instead use discontinuation symptoms. as withdrawal symptom, this terminology was bringing bad repute to antidepressants. So they say use this word discontinuation symptoms. The duration of treatment, we have to tell them, okay, after the first episode, this is your first episode. Once you have completely recovered, you should at least take for 6 to 9 months. If you have had multiple episodes after your complete recovery, at least 2 years, but no upper limit is defined. So this is the duration of treatment, and regular follow-up would be necessary. It's not like that, okay, I've told you that this medication will continue for further 6 months, and you go home and you continue purchasing the medicines from your chemist and do not follow up, because at times regular testing is required, regular assessment is required, and if the depressive symptoms are coming again, we can catch it early, and also the side effects, that we can catch it early. So they say, the guidelines say, okay, you should always tell these 8 points before starting and before considering the medications. And this is the patient's right also, that they should know what are the expected benefits and harm. It's not that you are just promoting this medication and you're not a salesperson for the medication. You should always tell about the harms also, so that they can make an informed decision. All right. So before we start with what antidepressants to give, we have to know certain things. Like, what is its effectiveness? Are they effective or not? When they start working? What kind of medicines we can give? What is the minimum dose that they need, and the duration of treatment, and the issues. So once we know this, then we are going to learn about certain issues. All right. So are they more effective than placebo? The answer is yes. So they are clearly more effective than placebo. So placebos are also acting. So this is something that will be a separate presentation also at a particular point of time, that on placebo itself, that placebo also works. But antidepressants, they are clearly more effective than placebo. It has always been said that antidepressants, they are more effective in severe depression. And for the milder and the moderate version, they are not that effective, and probably psychotherapy works better. But it's clearly shown that it is equally effective for mild, moderate, severe. It's not like that it works only on the severe depression. Next comes the how many people who are going through moderate and severe depression, they improve with the treatment, with the first treatment. So it's said that with the use of antidepressants, close to 50% of the people, they improve with the medication, with the first medication. Maybe the trial fails in certain number of people and they will improve with the second medication or the third medication, but 50% they do improve. And close to 30% they improve with the placebo. 20% they improve on their own. So if they ask, if I do not take medication, what are my chances of improvement? Still it is 20%. And if you give placebo, somebody else is giving placebo, some fake doctor or quack doctor is giving vitamin B12, still the 30% chances are there. And if they improve, they may say, okay, this particular doctor improved my depression. But if you give antidepressant, there are chances, 50% chances that the patient will improve. So, as compared to not doing anything, close to 3 times more people are improving here. And as compared to placebo, close to double patients are improving. Here 3 times, here 2 times. But this is okay. But you can also use a placebo effect. You're giving medication. You can add this placebo effect in your practice. How? Have a very good therapeutic alliance. If there is a good therapeutic alliance, the patient believes the doctor. If you have given certain hope to the patient, if you have taken a good history, because therapeutic alliance is established once you have taken a good history. You have evaluated all the possibilities. You have ruled out all the things. You have really worked on the psychosocial aspect. A good therapeutic alliance is formed, the medication will work much better. So there is a clear-cut evidence that they have taken two groups, one with therapeutic alliance, one without therapeutic alliance. Both were given similar medicines, and clearly it was established that medication plus therapeutic alliance works much better. All right. So, for example, in future, in recent or at a particular point in time, AI will also give mirtazapine, sertraline, escitalopram, artificial intelligence. Maybe AI doctors will come, they will give, but they cannot make therapeutic alliance. They cannot have the therapeutic contact with the patient. They cannot do that. You can do that. And if you can do that, you'll always be better than any AI. We always say that it takes 2 to 4 weeks to have an effect. Patient will ask, okay, doctor, if it is going to take 2 to 4 weeks, should I come after a month to tell you if my medication is working or not? So does it take 2 to 4 weeks? The answer is no and yes both. The answer is spectrum. Maximum people, they improve within 1 to 2 weeks. They start having certain effect. After that, there are certain people who show effect in 2 to 4 weeks, and there are very rare possibility who show effect in 4 to 6 weeks. So it's a rare possibility. The maximum people, they start having certain effects by the end of 1 month. Let's say the patient has shown no positive effect in the 1 month. Change the medicine or increase the dose. Maybe in the 1 month you have not given appropriate dose, so you increase the dose. But if you have already given certain appropriate dose and still the patient is not improving, you change the medicine right here only. You do not wait for 6 weeks, 12 weeks, 10 weeks. You change the medicine in 4 weeks. Let's say the patient has had some improvement in the symptoms, maybe 5%, maybe 10%. So any improvement is improvement. So even if 5 to 10% improvement is there, possibly the patient is going to improve very slowly, and you should continue the medicine. And you should not change the medicine. How long you should continue, and after what point you should consider adding another medicine or changing the medicine, it is not clearly known. But any kind of improvement, you continue with the medicine. And what medicine are you going to give? Maximum trials, there are many trials. They say different things about different antidepressants. Some will say escitalopram is the best, some will say mirtazapine is the best. Some meta-analysis will say fluoxetine is the best, some meta-analysis will say venlafaxine is the best. Largely, all the antidepressants, they have equal efficacy. So I have used the word efficacy. So there are two words, efficacy and effectiveness. Efficacy means mainly the clinical trial that happened. Two medicines were compared head on, and in the clinical trial, clear-cut methodology was followed, and subsequently one medicine was superior to other. This is a clinical trial. But in the real world, there are no particular inclusion or exclusion criteria. So there is no proper clinical trial, but it's a real world trial that has been happening. So real world, people may have diabetes, people may have hypertension, people may have ABC, different conditions. And in those particular, if the medication is showing the effect, then it is called effectiveness. So both efficacy studies, meta-analysis and meta-analysis of effectiveness, they say largely that all medications are equal. Then how do you decide what medication to give? You decide with certain associated conditions. What can be the associated condition? Maybe it's young patient. Maybe it is old patient. Maybe the patient has pregnancy. Maybe the patient is breastfeeding. Maybe the patient has renal, liver impairment. Maybe the patient has certain neurological condition. Maybe the patient has stroke, MI, diabetes. So with all these conditions, the choice of antidepressants differ. But here in this presentation, we are first going to learn about the usual thing. We are not jumping on the special condition that we'll learn subsequently, but we are going to learn about the usual things.